Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we are having a part 2 of the topic, the roles of a husband. Today I have a couple with me who are going to help us to understand better the roles of a husband and how it is they are navigating in their marriage. We have Tyrus, who is a business person, and also Esther, who is advocate of a high court. I will allow them first to introduce themselves. Welcome. Starting with you, Esther.
Thank you, Eunice. It's nice to be back here. Feel it's 1 year down the line, 1 year later. I'm Esther. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm also into business. I'm a mentor. I'm a mediator, and I love marriage and I love love.
Awesome. To you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Eunice, for this. Always good to be back. Feeling at home. As February is a month of love, like they say, we are so honored to be part of this, and we hope we'll be impactful in whatever session we are going to talk about.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Actually, I always say this is a good couple to like listen to and to draw from, right? Viewer, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. To start with, today we're talking about the roles of a marriage. So, like I was saying before, we are cornering Tyrus because he's the husband here. And also you telling us the receiving end of how it is for him as a husband to you. So maybe to start with from you, Esther, the roles of a husband. What roles were you expecting from him as your husband?
First, as a firstborn, and somebody who is very, very close to my dad. So expectations were high, because
I can imagine.
But as much as there's that, there's also who he is as a person. He cannot be a copy-paste of my father. So there's one thing that I know is he has to be a provider. That providing does not just mean financial. It's also providing in terms of mental health, in terms of even physical health. Like if I'm sick and I tell him I'm sick, what has he done? Does he have a medical insurance cover? Is he willing to take me to hospital, or he's going to say, get into an Uber, take your soul? Yeah. Also, it's also a protector. I'm scared of doodles. Anything.
What?
I am terrified of doodles. Anything that is a doodoo is not for me. So it's him understanding that, yeah, it can bite, but you take care of it. If you're not killing it, have it out of the house or something. Yeah? Then there's also, for me, most important was a communicator, a very, very, very good communicator, a clear communicator. Don't talk to me in parables. I will not understand what you're saying. Just tell me. Yeah. Tell me this cup is dirty. I do not want you to serve me in this cup. Simple and clear, and I will not take offense. So yeah, those are my top 3.
Interesting, listening to you, and mostly women would come out strongly saying exactly what they want, especially in the communication part. I always find it to be something that you like sweep off under the mat what you want and not saying it out loud for your partner to get to know. Coming to you, Tyrus, as a husband, what are the roles of a husband to you in the back of your mind? Now I'm going to be a husband. What are those roles that you knew these ones I have to do?
Yeah, thank you very much, Eunice. It's a very interesting topic because we are talking about the role of a husband in a marriage. And as she's alluded to, you must be a protector, or at least know how to protect. Whether that means protecting your spouse and your kids with your life, so be it. But you have to be ready to go that length to know that I'm protecting these people. It's not just protecting them physically. We've seen instances where you're bringing your spouse, and you see when you're bringing a partner to your house or to your family, she's an outsider. So how do you protect them? even in the element of, like she said, if I see a cup that is not clean, tell me. Are you just letting her dry, and or do you go and just side chat and say, oh, by the way, when you come to our family, these are the things you should do. These are the things that my mom is happy to do. Trying to protect her so that she can come on forward. That is part of protection, because I've seen a lot of people go, for example, in a family gathering, and she feels like she's left out, or she feels like everyone is attacking her. And I'm not talking of the extreme of where she's having a different opinion. You're asked, why didn't you protect me? But it's that element on a high level. You know your spouse, you know them well, and you know how to protect them, because you need to know their weaknesses and make them your strength. That is one of the elements of protection I'm talking about. The other one we were talking about is providing. You need to be a provider, because when you set to have a family, you are the head of the family, as they say, and that comes with the responsibility as well. If you can't provide, what sort of a husband are you going to be if you can't actually lead by example? And also, you also need to be a leader, because just like anything, everything needs leadership. And if you can't tell people, okay, based on all these things that we've talked, and we're going to talk about some few elements where we're going to talk about how decisions are made. It's not just a dictatorship, it's just partnership. You come and sit down and you talk. How do we now come to a consensus and say, based on all the circumstances, based on all our responsibilities, based on all our dreams and vision and where we want to go, I think this is the way we need to lead. And I'm happy if you're happy, we go through this route. So that now come, because marriage, there's no one size fits all. You come, you sit down, you lime, you network, you have different experiences, you bring them together, and you say, our marriage, we want this. These are our goals, these are our vision. So that whatever decision you are making as a collective decision, if you go there and you fight a hurdle, or you find yourself in a deep end, there will be no pointy fingers. Because I think that is one of the things that it's bringing some cracks in the marriage, because you come in, you dictate, or you start doing things as a husband, and sometimes, and we do this, especially from our African culture side of things, you find people just decide and do things without consulting, or without even letting them know, and you want them to follow, or to buy your dream and vision, but they don't even understand what your vision is. So it's that element of understanding this is our vision, not just mine, because you don't want to be and these are big elements, and I've seen not just from us African people, but from a lot of people, if you're not conscious about where they are, become so self-centered. It's all about me. As a husband, you need to understand it's not about you. You brought these people, of course, you brought a wife, they left their comfort of your family, and you said, I'm going to be a husband. We have kids, because those are the conversations you talk when you're courting. I'm going to be a husband, you're going to have however many kids you decide, and I'm going to make you this, I'm going to do this. And then you are hoping she'll buy your dream. So if you don't tell them where your vision are, or you don't constantly keep reminding yourselves where you are at in terms of getting to this vision, it could bring some few problems there. So it's always very good to consult. It's always very good to keep tabs to where you are at, why you're doing what you're doing, why you decide to do A, B, C, D. But it's all based on the dialogue side of things. You come together, you dialogue, and then you lead.
Interesting. To bring you back a little bit, you said that you need to make her weaknesses your strength.
Sure.
How now do you make that, especially if you find that her weaknesses or her flaws, it's something that it's a turn off for you, and you're like, let's look at it from a very light example, like about the communication cup. For her, prefers you tell me outright. For you, you're like, this is a common sense. Just look, see the cup haina stain. I mean, how long does it take you to look? So you'll be like, I don't want to keep on. When you say you take my weaknesses to be your strength, if I'm forgetful, that means you have to, by like singing a continuous song of reminding me one thing every time and not getting tired of it. So how now do you enhance that so that by the end of the day, my weaknesses to be your strength is not something also that is pulling you down emotionally, and you're like, I can't do it?
It's a very interesting question. It's a good question as well. Marriage is not a one-way thing. It's not a one-way traffic. Because when I say I make her weakness my strength, she's also doing the same. So we are complementing, and I always say, I give an example of a hand. We have different sizes of fingers, but for them to work, they have to coordinate. The middle finger, the thumb knows their strength. It bends differently so that they can hold the cup and all the rest of it. And it's the same thing with marriage. You understand her strengths and her weaknesses, but at the same time, it's not a get out of jail card for her to kind of, or for me to stay on that weakness. It's understanding this is my weaknesses, but I'm also working on them. I can't keep on having a dirty cup, you know, if you are to use that as an analogy, because he will keep on, or she will keep on reminding me. It's understanding these are my weaknesses, and I will work, I'm working hard towards improving them, because life is progressive. You can't just be where you started 20 years ago. You came together as imperfect perfectionists or imperfect partners, and then you're trying to mold the imperfections, my imperfections, and then you see this is how we work, this is how we walk, and you make a match. I'll give an example of a teacher. When you go to a school or a class, you find people with different abilities. Some of the pupils are there in the classroom, they will assimilate information quicker, others will take a while, others are visual, others are ABC. It's up to you, or you two in a relationship, to understand this is how my partner understands better, other than scolding them, other than using a way that doesn't work. Because like we said, it's not a one-size-fits-all. How and what works in your marriage. For example, on a conflict resolution, when you're having a row, when you're having disagreements, how well do you solve them? Does that mean you confront them there and then, or does that mean you talk about them, then you say, let's sit over them, and then we have a discussion later? Or does that mean, you know, sometimes you take them out of the familiarity of the house, you go for a dinner, then you discuss them? What works? That is the most important thing. What works so that you can achieve your goals? Because at the end of the day, you two came together for a purpose, and the moment you're matched into one, you now kind of started having your own legacy. And for you to achieve that, it has to be a union, it has to be a partnership, where if I'm driving and she's my co-driver, I'm expecting her to do the co-driving roles. Not necessarily driving, but me driving, by her keeping me company so that I don't slip over, you know, when I'm behind the wheel. Those elements of knowing my roles. Yes, we said about the vulnerabilities. She knows her vulnerabilities and she's working towards them. I know my strength, I know my weakness, I'm working towards them. And it's a constant learning. My strength, I continue learning, I continue making them strengths. For her weaknesses, or vice versa, I continue working towards betterment of them.
Interesting. Now that you've looked into the introduction part of it, there's one thing that is very common, and also one of the things that triggers either marriage to be strong or weak or not work at all. That is communication. It is very, depending with people, it depends with how you see it best work for you. For you, you said not talking to me in parables, just come straight to me. I've done you wrong, just tell me right to my face. I'm also from the same school of thought. I'd rather you tell me. If you like it, say it. If you don't like it, don't sugarcoat it. Just say it as it is. It's easier for me to know, hii chakula iko na chumvi nyingi, so I'll have to reduce on salt. This one has too much oil, I have to reduce on the same. So having said about communication, is one thing like you've mentioned about being African men per se. We are, from history, we've seen or we've heard men being nurtured to be the people who don't cry in public, the people who like swallow in everything, and also those who don't communicate straight. They'd rather dictate, say what they want, and also not communicate in the sense of, should I call it responsibility? Like if you want to do something, you just think like she has to align, whether she likes it or not. As long as I've said and I'm the man of the house, what I say goes. It's either my way or no way. How does that have, now how do you have to balance that, if, especially if you're coming to that school of thought or a family that have brought you up that way, for you now to conform with someone who is like, you need to communicate. You just can't wake up and say, from today we'll be taking porridge for breakfast, and I don't do porridge. How now do you strike that balance? From where you're brought up to now here, knowing that this is not working for your partner.
Good question. And I spoke when I started, I said about dictatorship. Husbands should not dictate. They should lead, but not by force. It's that element of you coming to a person, and you met these people, especially when we had this discussion before we started, and we said, when is the right time to come together? But whether the people come so early in the early 20s or they come later on, these people are mature. They are 20-year-old plus experience they are bringing on board. So don't just talk over them or just ignore their knowledge or whatever you think they have. Come from the point of understanding. You found this person attractive for whatever reason. That's why you decided to start a relationship with them. But at the same time, they might have some value, or they will have some value or some input in whatever decision you're trying to make. So go to them, say, this is what I want. Because at the end of the day, everything is about communication. You might have all the good incentive thoughts for the couple and for your marriage, but if you're not communicating, how are they going to know? And like we said, especially in the case of our spouses, they buy our vision, but they need to understand this vision. And these things are dynamic. They are not just the vision I gave you when I started is still there, and they evolve because of course the world is evolving. So if things are changing, if you need to amend, adjust, do all these, oh yeah, we wanted to buy, for example, I remember she told me she wanted to retire somewhere in Nanyuki. And I was like, okay, that's a good place to retire. And then when we started going there, we realized actually Nanyuki is cold. It's almost the same cold we are trying to run away from Europe. Then those things changed. Okay, where do you want now to have your retirement home? Now, you see, it's a small element, but it shows how things are dynamic. You start with one thing, then as time goes, because of course you are still learning, you adjust. But you're not just adjusting on your own, you're just adjusting as a team. Because it's no point of me having or thinking I'm a decision maker and then just having them as people just to come along. It'll be even more hard work for me, because if you're not empowering them in terms of, honey, this is what I'm planning, or this is what I was thinking, what do you think? They will still have some input, and they will make my work even easier, rather than just thinking I'm a know-it-all, or whatever I say just goes. You are actually, it's almost hitting your head on the wall, and you end up getting injured. And by the time you realize this, you've wasted time. You have not even broken through, because how can you break a wall with your head? And maybe all you needed to see was to speak to her and say, actually, there's a door just a few inches on the left or right. Of course, I'm using that as an analogy, but the bigger picture is the more you communicate, the more, because it's all about searching for solutions and the way forward to achieve the goals that you really want in your marriage.
So, to add on that, I will say, remember, you are two very different people. You are different in how you have been brought up, how you have been cultured, how you have been educated, how the mentors you have had, whether those are your aunties, your uncles, your parents, or your moms and dads' best friends. All these things have brought up me in a very, very different way from the way you have been brought up. So if you don't learn to understand, okay, by the time we are sitting down and having this discussion, she is not from the same mindset as I am from. So how do I, in a very friendly and loving way, communicate my vision, communicate my dream, communicate my plan for the family? So that once people understand that, that's when you'll find this, you'll be able to talk other than tunaenda Nairobi sai. Like wake up, get into the car. Where are we going? To do what? For how long? What is the plan? What is the purpose? Does the car have fuel? When was the last time you took the car for service? You see where I'm coming from? So, and that will only, my questions will only be answered if you and I are actually having a conversation with each other.
Interesting. I want us to take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue with this conversation whereby now we are going to dive in deeper and see what are those expectations that you come in a marriage expecting and you're like in denial in terms of maybe from where you're coming. You said a good example that you're very, very close to your dad. And now he might not be the copy paste. But again, you're expecting the copy paste, not even 100, but at least 80. And then you realize he's maybe 40 or 50. Is it a deal breaker or not a deal breaker? Or you'll be like, at least you're coming halfway. We'll develop the rest as we go, right? Viewer, I hope you're learning as much as I am about roles of a husband. How is it working for you? How are you husbanding your family, your wife? And wife, how are you receiving your husband in terms of the roles? What is he doing to you that you think, now, this is the man that I was looking for and I have him? Send in your question, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
Fun. And the hyenas were there. They wanted to snatch the baby and tear that baby into pieces and eat.
Today, we're going to make a cactus in a pot. Hey, you, cold on. Are you biting your thumb at me?
I love my mommy. I love my mommy. Yes, I do.
Are you going to show love to your friend? Sure, you are going to do that. Friends, until next time, bye!
Leo tutakuwa tunaangazia masuala mengi kuhusu uongozi na maendeleo, na pia tutakuwa tunaangalia uongozi wa kuigwa na vijana. Kuna idara za serikali, kuna tume ya EACC, kuna idara za mahakama na kuna parliament, lakini tumeshindwa kutekeleza chapter 6 of Kenyan Constitution to the point that ya kwamba watoto wachanga ndio wanatuonyesha jinsi ya ndio wanatuweka katika mistari sabamba ya kuratibisha kifungu cha 6 cha katiba ya Kenya.
When we try tukijaribu sana kuangalia mambo politically na tuangalie vizuri pande hii nyingine ya kijamii, nafikiri hapo kuna kuwa na mwanya katikati, na hiyo mwanya ndiyo ambayo sasa imekuja kujazwa na hii generation.
What has it this far that now they are saying enough is enough?
Wakati Daktari William Samoei Ruto alichukua hatamu za uongozi, mnakumbuka ya kwamba the opposition walianza zile demonstrations zao za kusema the cost of living imeenda juu sana. Ijaribu kushukishwa kidogo ili watu wakuwe na muamana katika nchi. Na hiyo pia iliadhiri serikali yake pakubwa.
Sababu ya watu kwenda kwa maandamano ilikuwa kutoridhika na mambo yanavyofanywa. Wakati finance bill ilipitishwa na wakati tunaangalia sababu ya zenyewe kupitishwa, tunaona si sababu za kusaidia vijana.
What's happened after the Kenya Kwanza imereduce still wanamwandamania?
So ile ambayo wananchi wa Kenya wanakasirika ni kwa sababu we are expecting leaders, and especially led by the president, to be giving us policies that can give effect to Article 43 of the Kenyan Constitution.
Hello everyone, I'm so much thankful to have this precious time to actually share with you the word of God. When I was growing up and when I was attending church, my former church, I was taught that, although I'm saved, but as I, when I commit sin, I become a sinner. And then when I become a sinner, again I repent my sin every day for it to be forgiven, so that I can be assured of salvation. But when I was living a life of trying to confess my sin each and every day, and believing that I'm a sinner, actually I could not have an assurance of my salvation in my heart. So I thought, and I was taught, that my sin is, the deeds which I do outwardly. Until the time I came to realize, for sure, I'm a person who cannot really do good. The problem is not the deeds which I'm doing outwardly. The problem is the core. The core of my heart itself is evil. Jesus, what he did, he lived among us. And then he died on the cross because of our sin. And then he rose again. The reason why now he did not just resurrect and go to heaven, it is because of, to meet the disciple and to witness that, sin and death could not have any power in his life. He wanted to manifest that eternal life.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about the role of a husband, and with us we have Tyrus and Esther, who are helping us to understand better how them in their marriage is working out, and also having interacted with different people, how it is working. And you can borrow a thing or two to be able to help you to navigate. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, you've done a debrief of introductions. What are the roles you expected and what he expected to do, and also the communication bit. Now, moving on, we had said that when you come back, we are going to look at the expectation part of it. There's the burden of expectations, whereby you, from where you're brought up and raised up from, there's expectation of your family, so as to him. And now, but you're coming in together, like you said, from different families, backgrounds, beliefs, and everything. And there is now that expectations, whereby the communication is there, but also not that clear, as you're saying. You need it that clear. Or rather, it's that clear, but again, you also feel like your efforts are not appreciated. Whatever you're doing is not like felt or seen. Because there is that which you see mpaka an outsider. There are those things that you do mpaka wanasema, even this a blind man can see. You're doing something, and your partner is not seeing it, is not appreciating it. How now do you neutralize this without bringing conflicts and wars to be able to sustain your marriage in terms of now the burdens and expectations?
That's a good question, Eunice. So there's what I'm doing, but I feel it's not being felt. Why is it being felt? Am I doing it in a way that he can't see? Am I doing it for my own benefit and not for the family structure's benefit? Am I doing it to have the outsider see, but not the insider?
Okay.
Okay, so you as much as we'll say, I'm doing, I'm saying, I'm going, but is it for you? Is it for the family? Is it for the outsider? Or it's for us? I think those are the most important questions you need to have at the back of your mind before you bring it to the table and say, yesterday I went to Mombasa and to look at after our land somewhere. But had I said that before, or had I even initiated to him that, oh, there's a piece of land that is somewhere that needs to be looked after before it's grabbed or something like that. But I may be so busy, very, very busy, doing things, but this is what I'm doing synchronizing with our family structure.
It could be synchronizing, but there is the sense of, the most excuse that we say or use is, I'm doing this for the family. To you, it might be beneficial for the family,
Yeah.
but to him, it's not.
It's not.
So now how do you strike that balance?
Why is it not?
To you, it's a big deal. To him, it's not.
Okay, it is. But that's why I'm saying, as when I'm doing it, am I saying what I'm doing? Okay? Am I putting it there that I think we need to discuss about 1, 2, 3? Or I think we need to go and do this. I think we need to stop. What's your opinion on the same topic? Because we as women especially, we are busy. We are busy bees. But how busy are we? To what benefit? To what extent are we busy? What are we busy doing? Because that is where it comes to the point of, you don't appreciate me, you don't see my efforts, I am pulling my hair out. But yeah, you are, but then what? Is it for me? Is it for the showbiz? Is it for the family? Or is it for you?
So, well, let me try to get you straight. When you're saying you're doing this and it's not felt, do you have now to okay, you have to ask, like you've just said, what if he's having a different opinion? Do you now stop what you're doing, the way you're doing it, and borrow his thinking and ideology so that now you're able to be seen and felt?
That is exactly it. So he's saying he's not seeing you, he's not feeling you because of 1, 2, 3. And then jiita kwa mkutano and ask yourself, okay, this is what he has said, this is how he has expressed himself. And think about it. And then maybe you can go back and say, okay, you said this, but if I adjust to this, does it work? Not 100%, but it's just bringing him on. Bembeleza, bring him on and bembeleza. Because let me tell you, as I'll say an example with my husband, he is the easiest person to convince. But you will convince him by showing, not by force, but by bringing him pole pole, showing him, okay, maybe why don't you also adjust to this? I also can get you halfway there. He's very easy to pull in, but not by force. Pull in very, very sweetly and very gently.
Very wisely.
And wisely, yes.
What do you have to say on the same, Mr. Tyrus?
It's a very good question, and I think it's one of the deal breakers for a lot of marriages.
Sure.
Because, and I think this goes back to the basics, where you come together for a goal, and these goals, if you don't align, you find yourself you're not working as a team. If you look at the football teams, any team that works together, they have to be aligned. They have to know how I make a move. Even before, let's even take an example of football, which I play. I'm so synchronized with my teammates that I know the moment he touches the ball this way, this is how they turn, and this is how they give me the ball. It makes my work easier because I'll start making a move to where I'm expecting this the ball to be passed. What am I saying in terms of my marriage and relationships? There are so many things that you can do as my partner, and I don't have to see how I feel it because we are so synced. If you are doing something for the betterment of our relationship, for our legacy, I will know and I will feel. If you are doing it kama venye amesema, kuna wengine they will start building their own side hustle because they are maybe thinking of pulling out, kujificha. I might not have the answers, but I will feel something is not right. Why are you going there? How can you be? It's as in things set pattern. If you've been together and you've been doing things pamoja, we come together, we say this is what we want to do, and all of a sudden you've just changed these things. We work together, and then all of a sudden there are things that you're doing them and you don't even involve me, and you don't do them in the same context. Kama venye mesema, where you sit me down, you talk about it, you tell me why you're doing it, what do you think, and it could be both ways. We are in it together, and if you start doing your own side hustle, and I'll give an example on the Pareto rules, the 80-20%, where you are 20% of your input, you want that to give you the 80% of the the results. And it's more of the same thing she spoke about being busy. You can be busy going around, but how are you making progress? Because if you start now touching so many things, you're not going to get a good output in one thing, because you're now all over the shop. And it's the element of now focusing and knowing these are our main focus. We need to have this by the end of the year. But at the same time, this is now taking care of itself. So these other side hustles are not distracting our main goal. Because if they are, then at the end of the year, we won't have the results. So it could be a level of, no, whatever you're doing, it's right, but could we wait until we achieve this? So it's going back down to the basis of the dialogue, being aligned, and being on the same page. And now, as I summarize on that topic, I will say two things about partners, the male side and the female side. Insecurities, especially in the man side, is one of the reasons that the marriages are dying, because you don't want to empower your wife, not because you don't think they can do it, but because you feel like the moment they are empowered, they'll go and find other spouses. So you kill their dreams because of your insecurities. It's a no, you shouldn't do that, because if you want to empower someone, or if you think the insecurities are not empowering the person, you keep them where you are wrong. Because these people, they will still go whether they want it or not. Instead of going there with the insecurities, go there and empower them. And at the same time, on the other hand, from the spouse's side of things, aligning and discussing these things is supposed to be the cornerstone. If I understand my spouse and I know, for example, she's a lawyer, it makes more sense for me to empower her in that sense of, okay, what can you do to use your skills? Because you went to uni and you know, your parents invested in you, it's your passion. How can we take this and make it like an additional passive income to our fold? Because if I now go on, like we've done, and she's now opened her law firm, that on its own, it's actually bringing extra on our basket. So I should be ready to support her dreams, because yes, she bought my vision, but at the same time, I also need to understand, before she met me, she was someone. So how can I empower her? And that is one of the way of showing love, because you are going out of your way. Of course, you know this is what you guys bought and this is the vision you're having, but at the same time, she also has her passion and interest and goals. So are they now in alignment? Are they coming on board? Yeah. Interesting.
I like the way that you brought it now from the expectation burden of it, and also how to the solution from it for it as well, so that like you're saying, empowering. Because I think a lot of femicide issues that we've been having on the rise in the country, and also the violence, it's coming from that, whereby there is a time men were investing in women so much and also empowering them. But I think like you said, those who are staying, they'll stay. Those who are leaving, they'll leave. So those who left came out so loudly and boldly that made the men be more insecure. Now they're more fearful. Now, from a man's perspective, now how do you come out from that shell? And also in regards to what I want us to talk about next, the power and the decision making, whereby you say you don't empower her because you don't fail to empower her because of your insecurity. Also, you know, when you're talking about insecurity, especially from a man's perspective, you're also talking about the power and the decision making, because now you're afraid of if you empower her so much, atanikalia kichwa. That's the notion that we do have. And also, again, I don't know if this can also affect if you're coming from a family where girls are not educated, girls are not empowered. Girls are meant to be in the kitchen. Girls are meant to be housewives. And now you're coming to have a woman or a lady to be your wife, and is coming from a family where girls are more empowered. Like they have everything collected together. Like they make their own decision. They make their own moves independently. They know they have the support system behind their back. Like I want to use you guys as an example. It's always said, the ladies who are thriving more, they say behind every successful man, there's a woman behind it. I always say behind every successful woman, there's a father, who pushed to that level. So that even this man, when he's coming, amekupata, like you're saying, she's somewhere. Now, how do you marry these two families together so that this insecurity is well taken care of, and also the empowering part, and now you're coming together, you gel in together, in now to what you're talking about, the power and the decision making. Now, how do you now bring it together to be at par, also in the decision making of everything?
Okay, very good question. And I'll go back to the basis. From the very, very beginning you met this person, that cutting face, that is when you're supposed to be true to yourself and to this other person, the person you're trying to go. Because you come from a point of unknown and someone is trying to tell you, this is what I've done, this is what my family values are, this is what I can do, these are the do's and don'ts. And a lot of people get to the cutting phase and they don't understand the value, and it's almost the cornerstone of your marriage. Because if I go there and I don't understand the weight and almost the weight on some responsibilities or some beliefs and what it means to this other person, when they come to me and I expect them to change, it's not as easy as it's done. So there's that element when you're courting, you need to be true to your person or to your spouse. You need to tell them, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. What do you like? What don't you like? What are the deal breakers? A, B, C, D. So that when you're courting, because you're not, it's not a contract then. You have not gotten into a contract. It's almost like the way you can go to a shop and you're trying to buy something. You ask them the question, hey, you buy me, you're selling me this CCTV. Does it do this? Does it do that? Does it do that? What is it that doesn't do? And if it doesn't do the things that you're looking for, then it's not the perfect person. And if you don't fix it then, how are you going to now fix it when you're already now gone in and this person told you, you never listened or you never took into context, and you're now crashing, not because you didn't know what you're getting yourself into, but because you didn't take them with the weight that you deserved. So I would say it will start from there. And at the same time now, coming in, you've now gelled, you've now understood, yes, I didn't expect them to be 100%, but the better part of who I was looking for, I found them in her or him, the 70%. So the 30% I can compromise. And that is the element, because you never find someone who is 100% of what you're looking for. If you can get that, I would advise a lot of people to take that as it's a good person, as a good spouse to start with, because you need to understand these people and you need to understand them and say, these are the things that she will go to the grave with, because they are the values that they've been instilled in them through their upbringing. Then when you come now to the marriage, it becomes easier because you now understand their foundation, because of course when you come together you now start building your own legacy, but it has to have a foundation. So the basis of these are her beliefs and they are so strong in her. These are my beliefs. So it's a no-go area. Like I normally say, for example, when I met my wife, I had to sit my sisters because we are so close, we are close-knit family. I love them, they love me, but I had to sit them down and tell them, actually, I'm bringing someone fold. She's a wife. The love I have for her is different from the love I have for you guys. So I do not want to see any conflict. And I had to make it very clear, because that love competition, it will start bringing some dents in your marriage without even knowing. Because my sister, whatever, maybe they were used to calling me anytime and I'm just, I'm coming. I can't just do that, because I had someone here who now sacrificed everything. She's in my house. I can't just leave house and come and meet you as I used to. I'll probably say, let me speak to Esther, not because she's now wearing the trousers, but I'm appreciating. She also had some plans for us. And it's that element of small things make the difference, and people ignore them. And I'm saying this, I think today I'm very critical on the men's side, because we are selfish to some extent. And I think it's probably because of that is how the culture has brought us. But we are trying to, to merge the African cultures, the religious values, and then now the modern marriage. Because if you don't find a balance between all those three, something is going to break or something is going to give. So you're bringing someone, like we said, she's coming with a law degree, she's coming with a HR experience, she's 20, I met her when she was 27, 28. So she has a lot and a lot of life experience, and I cannot just wake up today and say, no, whatever she's done, I'll just forget. And also came with my experience. And so how do you marry the two? But at the same time, appreciating she's still a person and she has values and she has a say. So that you can bring them in, understand their family dynamics, because they remain your in-laws. And if you want to succeed in that other side that you're not, she's the one who is going to fight for you. But if she's not feeling that she's appreciated by you, or you're not supporting, how is she going to fight for you, you know, to her father and say, you know, he's the best husband and all the rest of it. And it's easier said than done, because, you know, you're bringing people who are of different experiences and all the rest of it. But it's that element of if she feels appreciated in where we are, she'll be the one who is going to be advocating for my good things to her family, as opposed to going and backbiting me when I'm not there and saying, oh, he's a deadbeat ABCD, he does this. So you'll be fighting a losing battle. But it's having that knowledge, like we said about leadership. You go to a class as a teacher, you understand different dynamics of different tutors or teachers or pupils, and now this is your person, and you need to lead together because you have to be in sync. Understand it, understand where she's coming from, understand how, with limits, of course, because there are some expectations that are not achievable. And I've seen this happening, especially people when they travel abroad or when they come to this other side. You find all the things they were doing, especially for us, she's a firstborn in the family. And I remember there was a time she had to kind of call them at family meeting, and she said, from today henceforth, I'm relinquishing all the responsibility I had as the firstborn of your family, because I'm now moved, not to the terraces, but to start my own family. So give me that slack of, if I'm not available all the time when you expect me, it's because I'm building my own family, but I'm not forgetting you. It's almost I'm telling you, guys, before you call me and ask me for something, whether it's monetary or advice or whatever, have you just thought about what I'm doing at this time? Am I going to get time, energy to go and do that other things that you're asking of me? And it's try not to be selfish from wherever side you are, whether it's the in-laws or the friends or whatever else. Understanding this person are now, especially for our case, we know we are trying to raise a family. We are busy trying to build our empires, the charities and stuff like that. And those are our responsibilities. And this is one person, and we all have 24 hours. So how do you now understand this person? Like we said in the case of a teacher going to a classroom, understanding this person as an individual, as opposed to a one-size-fits-all. This is Esther. She's gone in, and together as a family, Ida and Esther, this is what they are trying to achieve. So instead of asking her to come and go to the shop, I think I have more time than she does. I'll do it myself. I know I'm putting it on a low level, but I'm trying to show people how some responsibility can be shifted.
True.
Yeah, in such a way.
What is your take on the same?
I think for me, the most important time is during the courting phase. I don't know if it's a generation gap or it's a change into the modern world. Of late, there's a lot of fakeness during courting, and there's a lot of dishonesty, because courting is where you get to know, is this the person for you? Are they not for you? And if you don't know it there, or if you don't align yourselves at that point, do not expect 20 years later things will align. And during courting, if you're very honest with yourself, I think the one thing is you should be a good communicator during courting and be a good listener. Yeah? Be a very, very, very good listener. Because there is what you told me when you were courting. And the Africanism in us, you start thinking, he will change. It's just now. But he was very intentional. And some of that, including him retiring at 40, it has been constant. It hasn't changed. It has been constant. As much as at that point I was thinking, who retires at 40? Like, seriously, life starts at 40. Retire at 40. But he has been very constant. So it's me remembering he said this, and he has kept to his word. If I always thought he will change, he will change, he will change, would not be where we are now. There's a mutual friend of ours, and he is very clear he doesn't want kids. And he had said it since we knew him. And he got married the other day, and the wife is hoping he will change. And he's like, I said this, I've said this so many times, so many times, I do not want kids. That is not going to change. I've married you, I've done the traditional ceremony, I've done the white wedding, I've done everything. But he is constant. He doesn't want kids. And this is the time she's realized, oh,
Wow.
this is not, I want kids, but you don't. So, and then I was actually asking, I was like, Chick, I knew him since he didn't want kids. So you didn't hear that part. It's not changing now because he has married you. It's the same. So there was communication during courting, but this person either didn't listen.
Or thought I can still have the kid even without you, because I mean, especially if it's the man, I'm thinking, I mean, you know, when it comes to kids, wanasemanga, it's the lady who decides how many kids and know how to arrange themselves accordingly. But now, to what measures do you think this person has gone to say, I don't want kids and I don't want kids?
Yes.
So there is no way you're going to convince me and tell me, yo, dude, you know you did this, now it's here.
So that's what I'm saying. I would encourage, especially people who are courting now, be very honest with yourselves and be honest with your partners. Don't fake it. Because you can't fake marriage. You know, there is sometimes that you say fake it till you make it, whether you're doing a business or something, fake it till you make it. Marriage, there is no fake it till you make it. It is real. And if you don't get the real at the beginning, you won't get the real at the end.
Interesting. Now, let's us move on because I can see time is running out. I want us to look at two things. The masculinity and vulnerability, and also at the same time the temptation and infidelity part of it, so that you can marry it together. I was talking to someone during the weekend. He's a man. Tell me how true it is. It might be tricky to say it before Esther. He said this, I've been married for 14 years, but there is a time it reaches in life. You see that this woman in your house, amekufanyia kila kitu, but you need just a different energy and a different vibe. They say it's not cheating, but it's exploring. Esther doesn't buy that. How? Is it true? Because nilimwambia mimi, I don't buy that. There is no way you're going to convince me. Okay, men say it fikas a time. I asked someone and akaniambia it's because of the mazoeano. You're so used to Esther, the lifestyle, the pattern, and you're like, I need something different. But again, you're not telling Esther, can you do something different? So that you can see a different version of Esther. Amma introduced different things to Esther so that you're able to see a different Esther. But now you're thinking, because Esther doesn't do clubbing, doesn't do road trips, let me find someone who will do road trips and clubbing with me. How is that from a man's perspective?
That's very interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know your friend, so I'm not going to comment on what he said. It might be true, I don't know. But what I would say, especially when it comes to relationship, don't be complacent. Don't just settle for less and kuzoea mtu venye umesema. Marriage is a continual, you have to renew your vows every time. And it's that element of be modern, that spice it up. And I'm saying this because, of course, I've been married with us. I've been married for 8 years now, and I can tell you've been moving where we go on holidays, we do this, we do that, because we want to keep it interesting. We want to keep our love for each other interesting. And maybe one thing that has changed to the positive is that understanding each other and knowing the do's and don'ts, whether it's intimacy, whether it's when in the house, that maturity element of the marriage has grown and has blossomed. And we've gotten to a level where we are very good friends. We can, we're openly talking to each other. We share our fears. And it's only in doing so that you're able to find answers, because you're not going to find the answers outside there. And even if I was even to give you a context of our polygamy traditional, where our forefathers used to marry wives, the wife used to find you a lady or a partner. And for her, she used to go out there and look for someone that knows you are going to like, because she knows you. So it used to be done, no, you go there and look for someone and you don't know how they're coming to respect this person. It used to be done by them. They know now, okay, my husband wants another wife. She'll go out there, look for someone that knows hata mkuja kumsumbua, my husband like this, and then she'll go and get quoted by her and told, Kuja, he likes this, he likes that, he likes that. So it wasn't finding the answers out there. It was you amongst yourself talking and finding the answers, because those ones, especially when you're in this together and when you're in sync, things start to move and you make a lot of progress. And the last thing you want is to go and find kinyangarika huko, for the lack of better words, just to come and destroy everything that you've made, because you can make a long move and before you know, everything comes down crashing. So I think that is what I can say on that element, that you need to have a very intimate relationship with your spouse.
To your friend's challenge, where is the wife boring? What has he done or hasn't done to contribute to this boringness in the marriage? So I don't know him. But before you start saying, my marriage is dead, or my partner is no longer the same, or I don't know, something is wrong with him, ask yourself, what have you not been doing that you used to do, or what have you introduced that wasn't there and is creating this boringness, if I may say so. So it's because you'll find, and most of those questions will only be answered by the two of you. It's not an outsider. Don't even bother going to a counselor or a therapist. They will not give you those answers. Those answers are between the two of you. Sit down, tell him, I think now we are becoming boring, or we are becoming old. Sometimes I tell him that we're becoming but it's because something is changed. Like now, I'll give you a good example. Do you know we have tried watching a movie, we can't. We sleep. We'll put them in a very interesting movie, and today is movie night. We are going to watch a movie. 15 minutes into the movie, sleep. The TV will watch itself, and then eventually we'll wake up. And then that's when I even asked him, we used to watch, as in we would even do like, over the weekends, we would do like 3-4 movies nicely. What's wrong with us? And we had a very good discussion. We found out, oh, we need to change a few things here and there. And we tried a movie, and it worked. And that's the time I was telling him, I think we are old. And he's like, no, we are not old.
You just have to do it differently.
It's not the way we used to do it when we were in our 20s. It won't work. We work full time. We have so many things going on. So if you think the same energy we had in our 20s, the same energies we're having now, no. And that is why you'll say, yeah, we are old or we are boring. But you're not. It's just change. Have a discussion.
I think we can't wrap it up today. We have to continue this conversation online, because I'm being told you're out of time. Viewer, I hope you've learned as much as I have. Let's continue this conversation online across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21114. Next time, have a nice time. Goodbye.
Everywhere, GBS.